Boo! How you doing? I have to thin this. We're gonna start out by doing some carbon fiber detailing work. So like anything that's gonna be like a hard metallic surface is gonna be getting carbon fibered. This is a fabric coating, so I'm not worried about that. And we'll probably do steel and stuff like that inside that. Start picking out details on it. But the majority is going to be a carbon fiber texture. Then we'll pick out other things as we need them. Lots of good details on the face too. Little smirk to the lip there. Fits together really well. And really nicely done crisp vectors. Looks like they're chambered in a rifle round too, because that's not a 9mm or 45 mag on that. Excuse me. I don't expect we'll be terribly busy today. I got my model club to go to at 6, so I'll probably stop and stream around 5, depending on how it goes. Different music. There we go. So at least the snow stopped today. It's very, very snowy yesterday. It may start again tonight all the way through tomorrow. I work late tomorrow, so I might try a stream after the meeting tonight, just to see what the nighttime traffic on YouTube would be like. It looks good. Like I said, you might want to add a little sand to the lighter of the two colors. Or if you have this green, mist that into the camo on the lighter sections. Kind of like in the panels as a post shading kind of. 'Cause I think the NATO green's too green. I know that sounds weird and stupid, but that's the best descriptor I could give it. I'm gonna be a little quiet today too. Just, like I said, I woke up in kind of a weird headspace. Just I don't know. Thinking of making mainly the outer component shell carbon fiber, so like all this stuff, and up in here where there's like the musculature, but then underneath is kind of like a braided cable look. So we'll play around with that too. So you can kind of, I don't know if it shows up very well on the camera here. You can kind of see that braided cable texture in the shoulder pieces there. So we'll do what we can to pull that out too. Sorry. I know, stop doing that. It's too early in the day. Don't yawn. It's my day off. And it's been a while since I've had daytime naps, so give me a little credit. The nap monster is a fickle foe. Sneaks up on you and knocks you out when you least expect it. Excuse me again. So my blinking LEDs showed up. At first, I thought they blinked too fast. Um, then I went back and watched some footage from Star Trek: The Motion Picture. It turns out that during Star Trek 2 and 6, Nicholas Meyer had the flashers on the Enterprise speed toned down because in the motion picture in 3, the flashing almost matches the speed of what I bought. Probably just a hair slower, but I can live with that. Hold this a minute while I dry it. Just spraying air over it now. Set it down. I'll be getting back to other models soon enough. I just posted a short of the Martian War Machine. Finally finished that. Allie, what are you doing? Yeah, kind of breaking it like that when I was cleaning was a blessing in disguise. It allowed me to revisit the model and fight it like I wanted to do back in. When did I buy that? 2000 or 8? It was a while ago. I'm not going to be carbon fibering the guns, but I figure since I've got the black loaded in the airbrush, I can get them painted. And we're running out. And we'll see how my energy keeps up tonight. Lately, my model building, there's some days I'll be able to, work for 2 or 3 hours per stream. But there's other days where you're just like, okay, tinker on this part, 15 minutes, get it done. Okay, now I'm gonna watch a movie or gonna do some laundry, play a game, do something else. And you come back, okay, work on this for another 15, 20 minutes now that that's dried, or I've given my eye a break from it just to see it differently, kind of thing. Pretty much. That's how I've been a lot lately. But it's also, I think, what led to my productivity last year as well, because I did a lot of that where I'd be like, okay, did this, put it away, did that, put it away. And it just allowed me to really just bust through on things without even realizing it. to get back to that. Let's stock up there. This. No visitations right now, girl, okay? I know she's not going to listen. But I did make some good progress on the refit in terms of how I want to light things. Since I'm not incorporating the shuttle bay and the arboretum, I'll essentially be able to just fill the cavity with LED strip top and bottom and done. Same thing with the engines. The blinking LEDs don't require a circuit board, they just flash when th're powered. And they're pre-resisted, so I just got to wire them into my existing wire loom that I want to use. So. I can even demonstrate one if you want to see what I mean about how fast they flash. Turn off the airbrush compressor for now. Gotta let the paint dry for just a little bit longer. So while we do that, let me find a battery, and I'll do a demo on the strobing LEDs. So these are like 10 or 15 bucks on Amazon for 50 of them. And I'll be using these for the strobe on the bridge, the main warp nacelles, and the one on the belly. Since those are the ones that are strobing the fastest. There are other strobes. I've seen parts in the movie where they aren't strobing. But that right there, if you watch the motion picture, is almost how fast they strobe in the film. Then in Star Trek 2, they're slowed down by about half. And then in 3, they're sped up again. So I don't know what's going on there, but I'm going off the motion picture. That'll hopefully add a little bit of life to it. Now, for those wondering how we do carbon fiber, first, an intermission. Yes, dear. What can I do for you? Come on. You coming or what? No? You got up all sniffy and wanted to get up and then decided to lay back down, huh? We're not going to have cat butt in the camera for this stream? Good. You don't get in my face like Arnie does, though. Girl. So, this is an old car modeler's trick, but it works for most carbon fiber practice. Old pantyhose. You just stretch it out, open the weave after you've painted the base black on your part. This is dry enough. And then you get a dark metallic like dark aluminum or steel, or maybe even, to me, a metallic gray. Gunmetal might be a bit too dark. And then once you stretch the pantyhose over it to open up the weave, you lightly spray over it. And when you peel the pantyhose off, it leaves a carbon fiber looking texture. So I'm going to demonstrate that. So, pair of pantyhose, not used, cut to size. Like I said, you just put it over the part and stretch it out. See if I can get this to stay up here. Hold on. Might have to do this a different way, because we have that seam. Don't want to stretch it too much, though. Yeah, we'll probably have to do it in halves. So do most of one side one way and then do the other side the other way. And hopefully the panel lines and stuff will break it up. You can already see how it's opening up. You don't want to do it too much, but just enough. You don't want to spray your paint on your metal color on too heavily either, because it can become overpowering. I'm going to go with dark aluminum on this one. Kind of keep this all up here. I'm going to use the thigh to pin it. My paint. Maybe. Sorry, I'm experimenting. It's been a while since I've done this on such a oddly proportioned part. It's not gonna work. Let's try this thing. Close peg. Music on too. Helps with the thinking. So we'll bunch this up. Hold it with a clothes peg. And that'll allow us to keep that off of there. That's my only other issue, is that it takes some prep work. Usually when you're doing something like a car hood or part of a Gundam, you got just the one surface you're doing. You're not trying to do a three-dimensional surface. Hi, Frankie. What, boy? Hey, kitty boy. Sorry, cat time. The key is just to keep testing it until you find out a pattern and position that work for you. It's actually not terrible. All right, let me get the airbrush loaded. Like I said, we'll give this a shot today. Probably more this evening. I'll do an extra run on here. Probably on the YouTube side more than on Twitch, just to see what the traffic there is like. Still learning, getting to feel the things out. That should be more than enough. All right, let's give it a go. The metallic is a bit strong for my liking, but I think we'll live with it. It ought to stand out nicely when it's glossed. Is the arm dried up? It is. Right here. This one we'll do in halves as there's a lot more going on. that dry for a minute, so I'm going to flip it open. There we go. It's okay for it to vary too, because real carbon fiber hoods do sometimes. There we go. Overlapped it just right. Let me gloss to see if we can get the black to pop and we can start pulling out details too. I'm satisfied with that for the most part. So what kind of loadout are you going to put on the 111? Did it come with enough ordnance to put on the MERS and put those on the wing? Got to do a fully loaded one, right? Because it could do what? 12 per wing? Plus some TERs on the outer stations. I think there's 3 sets of stations on the wing. Just using Windex as a cleaner. Probably going to disassemble it and let it soak in some degreaser overnight, or not overnight, but while I'm at the meeting. Um, just because that'll strip out any really old paint. Load up the clear coat, shoot it, and then get back. That. Where did I put it? Hold on. I had it out. Where did I put it? I'll use the quick shine for it then. That darkens it down and it makes the black deeper. And it gives it that shine that it should have. Right there. You could even spray a clear color over the carbon fiber if you wanted to make it look like it had a red or a yellow resin used. Make it like just different color carbon fiber. I think that turned out really well though. Better than I was expecting. Obviously, we're going to pick out other details, so it's not going to be like just all carbon fiber. There's going to be other metal details. Things like these round bits are going to be metallic. Or they could be gray plastic or something. Who knows? It's sci-fi, it's cyberpunk. For those of you joining us on YouTube, welcome. Hope you enjoy what I'm able to do, no matter how awkward I am at it. Stuff I sprayed on for the clear dries pretty quick. I'll pick it up when I'm done. There we go. So how is everybody doing today? I know it's Thursday. Weekend's around the corner for a lot of you. Today is my singular day off until next Tuesday. Ow. Just looking at how I want to proceed with what I'm going to paint. I think these should be a solid metallic, almost like they're machined. That way we get more peaks of carbon fiber plates than a solid mass of it. Same thing with up here. What do we got? So that was dark aluminum. Let's bust out the steel. And not feeling this song. Who's that at my leg? Hi, Mittens. I'm just looking at the original image, the CG render. The guy's got this whole leg is like a field gray, which I don't like the look of that. And this is black. So we might throw some black back in here in more solid patches just to kind of, I don't know, just differentiate things. But I'm thinking more back here. I don't know. Think of something. I'm just starting the process of plucking out things and making it look different. We'll probably come back with aluminum and some brighter metallics. You just gotta slowly peck away at it. Let the metals lay down. We have a visitor. Hey, buddy. Come here. Come here. Over here. Come here. What are you doing? Just see a butt sitting up in the air. Come on, buddy. Up here. Come on. Yes, we have a mittens. He got down, though. Ow. So the braided lines are definitely going to be aluminum. I gotta grab it from over there, though. Come on, buddy. Come on. Come here. Don't act so dejected. We might change over to something else, too. Something a little less eye-hurtingly sharp. Those are braided, braided, braided. Because those will look really good with the dark tone wash applied over it. It'll settle just right and make that braided texture pop out. Mittens, what do you want? He's like leaning against my side. here. What are you doing back there, cat? I can see a bunch of things I can pick out in a different tone. I want to use dark aluminum for that, though. I think the steel was too dark to use on it anyway. Or do I want to use... No, silver's too bright. Got mittens wedged in between me and the back of the seat. I may even come back with brass or gold. I want to at least get the first... Why are you leaning on me like that right now? I went to the first pass of detail plucking. See how it begins to break down and, separate the parts a bit. Light blocking for which model? The Katinga doesn't really need it. It just needs white on the inside. Unless you're going to jumpstart your refit. Oh, why not? You don't need the $500 lighting kit for it. Mittens, you're making this very uncomfortable for me. Probably gonna have to take a second and move a cat who doesn't like being picked up. Here's a good song for when you're having a gray, dreary day. The Mummer's Dance by Lorena McKennitt. So I'm trying to pick out a lot of the small stuff because I want the arm to really feel like it was manufactured. Ah, ow. That hurt. Sorry. Looks like Solway's finally come to grips on his bird of prey. He just sent me some pictures of it. So I'm probably going to make these like a black gray, like a rubbery look. Ugh. That sneeze hurt. Hey, Solway. Thought you'd be on today. Yeah, we did a little airbrush carbon fiber. The camera will allow it to get picked up. Now we're plucking details. I saw that It looks good. Just with all the hot spots showing through the plastic, I highly recommend a light block before you do base color. One thing I found was really useful for light blocking, or not light blocking, for gap filling, especially the seam that's around the base of the head, that lower plate that goes to the neck. This crappy ammo dry brushing paint. It's really thick. It's almost like acrylic putty. You can just use a thin brush, put it in the gaps, and let it dry. No sanding, it levels out, all that. And that could work too. I just didn't want to risk the thinners and the chemicals in it melting my plastic. But we're doing the multi-stream on here on YouTube. That's why there's no music. Those little spotlights going out onto the wings were actually pretty bright on the studio model. Um, I would save the decision to paint over them until after you've got the base paint on the model and see how it mutes everything down. Because you might find that they reflect off the model just right when it's done. Because I thought so too, and then I painted it. Oh, set that aside for a minute. We'll go back to the leg and paint some more things. I just had a really bad sneeze before you came in, so I'm all, you know. And if anybody is interested in doing this figure, you can go to 3dsculpts.com, but it's SQULPTS, and you can buy it there. The files are originally in 1/6 scale. I blew them up to 1/3 scale because I thought it was a very impressive figure. Yeah, these will be solid metal. A larger brush for that. And I went and got some new brushes today, so let's christen them, shall we? I'm still debating on whether or not I should still rearrange the room a bit more. That way I have my projector behind me and I could drop the screen and, have something going in the background there. Everybody's got their fancy green screens. I'll have my rear screen projection. Yeah, I think doing that'll break up enough of that carbon fiber look. Oh, I got the Martian War Machine mounted on its base too, Solway. That's up in the shorts and on Instagram as well. Every time you say Model Master Airbrush, I think the old Testors Aztec line, which is absolute garbage. But then I remember you got like a generic one off of Amazon a few years back, and that's the one you're talking about. Yeah, they let you learn the basic skills, and now you can fine tune those skills. As long as you can make the tool work for you, that's what matters. There's people that'll debate, oh, I wanted this and badger that. As long as you can make the tool work for you, that's what matters. You know? They all have their ups and downs and pluses and minuses, but as long as you're happy with it. What connection does it use for the compressor? Yeah, without it in hand, I can't tell size wise. Excuse me. Need to get the aluminum back out for these two neck pipes. Gotta uncross the eyes here for a minute. And that's weird considering the trigger is one of the most universally common parts in the airbrush in terms of how it works. Gotta run upstairs real quick. I'm expecting a package of resin. So I don't know if I should build a Type 6 or a Type 7 shuttle from Next Generation or a Type 9 from Voyager. After the runabout, it would be neat to have a little collection of Trek shuttles going. I think the dark shade wash is going to make a lot of this stuff pop really well. All right, give me a second to run upstairs, and then I'll be right back. That and I need to take a move around break. It's been an hour and a half almost. So, like I said, be right back. Ow, 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 ow. Alright, I'm back. So, no Grocer Hund. The site on Amazon was giving us the runaround. So, yeah, we just asked for our money back. Said, fuck it. Not dealing with it. Not allowing Machine and Krieger to cause me any more trouble than it already has in my life. So. Yeah, so if anyone wants to see me build Machine and Krieger, you're gonna have to supply it because I sure as shit ain't doing it. Yeah, they start out by saying by sending the wrong kit, which was Voyager. How much of a Trekkie am I, right? Um, we returned that. And they said they sent out a replacement, which was delivered on January 8th. Never got it, and even on Amazon, it still says, "Oh, sorry, your shipment is running late. It's not here yet." So I'm just done fucking around with it now. Don't ever buy from HobbyLink on Amazon. How's that? I'm using the. I didn't buy these, but these are the so-called dry brushing paints by Ammo, and all they are is very thick acrylic that dries rapidly. I'm seeing if I can give the polymer parts of these futuristic crisp vectors a bit more of a plasticky gray look. And also dry brushing in the direction the light is going to fall on them when they're being held. Just trying to add some directional light in a little ways. It's big enough, it doesn't need it. Thing is, that's the first time I've ever dealt with that shit from Amazon, you know? There's no place safe to buy from anymore. It's alright though, I've got enough fucking models to keep me busy for a good while. If I keep up, if my production stays up this year like it was last year, then around Christmas time I'll be ready to buy more. But I've got the refit and the Defiant to work on. After that, I'll probably slowly start working on Reliant. Um, well, that's just it. We sent Voyager back, and we were told that the new one was sent, and it was supposed to have been delivered like 2 weeks ago, and didn't show up. And even on Amazon, it says, "Sorry, your shipment is delayed. It's running late, but it's on the way." Blah 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 blah. And at this point, I am just. It has taken the enjoyment of experiencing the model away. So I no longer have interest in building it. I know that sounds petty to some of you. Oh well, but it is what it is. It's taken my it really was an impulse buy. It's taken my impulse and impetus for wanting to build the subject and just thrown it out the window. So I'm just not interested in doing it anymore. Round two is re-releasing the larger scale 537 scale Reliant though. And if the current Reliant I have doesn't shape itself up, I might consider that a fucking $600 loss too, and shit can that. Unless someone's got a set of 350 scale engine nacelle parts they part with. Yeah, it was just one of those things where the experience of trying to get the model has soured my interest in it now overall. So I just don't want to deal with it. Kind of like how all the bullshit with the Camaro almost made me actually sell it. It became more of a hassle than it was worth. So I just, nope. If it does, it's going to go to the back of the line. But honestly, I don't think you could blame me either. I missed these parts of the airbrush earlier. No, I don't think it's been sent. And the Hobby Link place was very what's the word I'm looking for? Reticent. I think that's the term to supply the shipping tracking info that they had. There was no tracking number, not that was given to us anyway, and it said tracking provided by HobbyLink, which is a company based in Georgia. So if they had sent it, it should have been here in like 3 fucking days. So there's just a whole bunch of fishy, stupid crap going on with it that yeah, too many bells, too many bells and flags going up right now. Getting all the stuff I missed with the airbrush earlier. I'll still be going back over it. I'm going to be throwing some metallics and stuff in it too. These weapons are nowhere near done. Yeah, my wife called me while I was upstairs using the restroom and getting the resin and let me know that. So I was like, that's fine. Got enough going on that it's the last thing I could care about. But I'm also trying to just, put a stop to my own buying right now. I've got enough. I've got like 6 Frame Arms Girls type kits to build as well that I've been getting since Christmas. But lighting stuff has been, kind of prioritizing itself. Not that I'm complaining, honestly. I've actually been enjoying learning about lighting. Um, the refit, I think, is going to be much better for it. Uh, and it'll look good sitting next to the original series Enterprise. So I was going to. No, this is basalt gray. I can put this on the armpit or the elbow area tubes. So if anyone likes Gary Newman, I found a mix on YouTube called the Audacity mixes, and their version of Now and Forever from Intruder is fucking hot. That's what's playing right now. I got the entire album downloaded. Ah, my face! If it shows up, it shows up. I'm not holding my breath for it. Honestly, I don't think they ever sent it. They just let the system auto-generate when we did the return process and kept our money. And they tried to make us wait and wait and wait. They didn't realize that there are times that I've got the patience of a fucking saint. I like that. So this figure is kind of strange in that it's not based on any kind of sci-fi art, but it is influenced by one that I found. And which told me that was the vest. It's light blue, and there's also a light blue patch on her undergarment. And then that reminded me, it's like, that seems familiar. So I went and searched just Cyberpunk Girl, and I found the original image that it's based on. It's not a direct copy, it's much more detailed. But it was just interesting that I was able to connect those dots so readily. It means I've spent way too much time on the internet. And this stuff wasn't doing what I wanted. Too dark as well. So I'm just going to use up more of this basalt gray. The Vallejo paints are a little bit finer and actually scrub better when doing dry brushing type stuff. At least I like what they do more. And I'm doing this before I go back in and apply metallic, you know, highlights to everything. And I'm trying to give this a shot at trying to bump up my contrast a lot more. Play with that some. Starting to pop out the details a bit more. It might look a bit odd, but we're not done yet. When did I drop that? I'll address that later. Hmm. There we go. Is my phone going off? Hold on. Yeah, Aries, that 111 looks better on Instagram than it did on the little photos you sent me. Thank you, Solway. The fun part about this figure, though, is going to be these. You got mantis blades and rifle chambered vectors, and then roller skates. Oh, what's the saying? Slow is fast, you know? Slow is steady, steady is fast. You're just taking it one bit at a time, making sure you get it right. And that's really what all model building's about. It's like you get these stupid 24-hour challenges and shit that come up lately, or and it's not just even in mini painting, it's in model build, like regular model building too. And that's great and everything, but why? Like there's probably plenty of tricks I could do to paint this figure, you know? No worries, Steve. Um, I'm probably going to be back on later tonight. Um, right now it's 3:47 my time, so I want to say about 9 p.m. my time. So in about 5 hours. So if you're able to, because I just want to see what the different times give for different traffics on the sites. I appreciate you coming by though. We'll try and be back on again later tonight after the meeting. Okay. You probably got a long work day ahead of you too, don't you? Again, if anyone does any 3D printing and they'd like to try this figure out themselves, it's from 3dsculpts.com, and that's 3dsculpts.com. And honestly, I think it's one of the better figures on their sites. They've got a couple different ones and some Marvel themed stuff, as like almost every other 3D printer figure site. But this is one of their better original characters. They got a couple others out there. One thing I do if I really want to find some oddball figures, kind of like this one, go to Etsy. Don't buy from Etsy because 9 times out of 10 it's pirated, and if you buy it, the original creator is not getting the money. What you do is you go to Etsy, look at the listings, look at the pictures if they have them, and see if they were stupid enough to leave the watermarks in. And then you research the watermark and find the original creator's site, buy it from them. It might cost you a little more, but you're supporting that creator, and you'll get more good stuff, you know? Now let's shake you up a bit more. I'm thinking field gray for the fabric wrap. It kind of goes with the original character, but it's not all, because he had all the cybernetics, the leg, the arm, the neck. They had all that in field gray, which I thought was too much, but I think a little bit just for the Kevlar wrap on the lower would look really cool. I wish the camera would pick it up, but there's actually a good fabric weave texture in there. It'll show up more after we put the paint on and wash and dry brush and blend and all that stuff. So I'm using German gray here for these hydraulic. I see these as hydraulic hoses. These are electrical, but I see these as hydraulic, and this is more of like a rubber covering. So I'm just trying to differentiate things a little bit. I'm going to make these colored. I'm trying to think of what I should do for a subject tonight. If I don't work on this more. It depends on how well this dries. It's been kind of wet here. It's actually started to try and rain and snow again. Um, so if this doesn't, brain train just derailed. If this doesn't dry very well, or if it still feels a little too tacky in some areas when I get back, I may switch over to something else. Maybe the Zentradi Regal Battle Pod from Macross. It was a Christmas present from the wife, but it's something relatively simple that I can just work on gluing together and just do a quiet howdy ho stream. Plus, it helps see what subjects get attention. That's going to start popping soon, I think. And I'm going to do the same here. Make this look like a black plastic panel. Because this looks good as carbon fiber because it feels molded because of the more rounded shapes in it. But it almost looks like this could be just a black ABS plate. I'm using German Gray by Vallejo. That way it doesn't feel too dead to the eye, like it'll read as black when compared to everything else. But it's not totally dead, you know? This didn't turn out too great in terms of the carbon fiber, so we'll make that. Then we'll make this metal. Okay. Just thinking out loud. Who's following? Platin... Platinobi? Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the channel. I hope I said that right. Don't know if I did or not. But if you're wondering what this is the calf on her right leg. And normally if I was just on Twitch, I'd have music playing. Thank you. It's from 3D Sculpts. I printed it here at my own house. The files are from 3D Sculpts, though. Maybe I should just grab the link for it and throw it up in chat if anyone else wants to give it a shot. It is a resin print. The original sculptor did an amazing job on it. I'll show off the... And I forgot to carbon fiber her jaw, so I'll probably do that in a little bit. But that's just her head. I knew I was missing something. Let me get the field gray out and hit this up real quick, and then we can move on to something else. And give my eyes a break. So, yeah, it looks like that covering her shirt. Yeah, we'll go with that. Now if I can just remember where I put my field gray. There it is. But I also found that Tamiya Field Gray is a great match on if you want to do a Challenger 2 in the black and green camouflage in the UK. Great match for the green. I know others would argue, but in scale, when seen with the black, perfect. I have not thinned this. Yeah, the thing about resin prints is they're as detailed as you can make the original file. I still gotta fill some holes on this before I start painting them. Trim off that support. They just came off the printer last night. We'll probably go until about 4:30, 4:45 my time. So about another 30 or 45 minutes. Um, so that way I can break and have dinner before I have to go to my model club meeting. At least today's going by slowly. Lately, a lot of my days off feel like they've just flown by. And this is also a nice little warning out there to any of those bots that like to, or not bots, but people that like to create YouTube accounts and take Twitch streamers' stuff and put it up there as content. Since I'm doing both, you really can't do that anymore because it's already out there for one, and two, you can get slammed for copyright easier and quicker. I don't know if it's an actual person that does that knowingly or not, but it is a pain. Is that a cat trying to say hi? Nope. Okay. And the carbon fiber effect is paint. Come on, focus. No? Okay. And if you... Um, there is a certain amount of money for startup. I can agree with you there. Um, the thing to do, if you really do want to get started in it, is just start simple. Like, you don't always have to use the Games Workshop stuff or the Tamiya stuff or any of that, right? There's plenty of different paints out there that you can probably find something within your budget that will work very well, depending on where you live. And I know this sounds weird, but you can even try some of those starter kits that kind of come with the paint with them. They generally do have enough, if you're careful, to complete the model. And I find that one thing a lot of people, especially those starting out, you know, they go to start building a model and they want these kinds of results, as far as like cleanliness and detailing and stuff, out of their first model. Not impossible, but it's also not realistic expectation wise. What you do is just get started and just slowly start gathering your paints and glues. You find something that only needs a few colors, something that you can afford. because you're not going to use them all up completely when you're building the model, right? So if you buy like 3 or 4 bottles of paint to do, say, a car, so you're going to do a car. So you got your spray can. That'll probably be your most expensive thing outside of the model itself. You get your spray paint to do the body. Um, you got a bottle of black to do the chassis. Sometimes if you choose right, you can make the engine the same color as the car. If you do an orange car or a blue car or something like that. Maybe tan for the interior. Silver for any chrome and metallic touch-up and window trim. But generally, starting it can be relatively inexpensive. You wouldn't use up all that paint on your first model, typically. And then you'll have that paint left over, which is, $20, $25 that you're not spending the next time. Or the next time you'll buy more paints to go with the colors you already have to do something a bit more involved and complicated. And the next thing you know, you've got 2 racks hanging on your wall with a couple hundred bottles of paint in them. And also, if you have access to Amazon, if you use Amazon, Vallejo, it seems like their paint prices have dropped radically. You can buy a starter pack of their paints for like $30, 30 or $40, depending. Trying to go around all the details so I can just come back with a larger brush and fill them without having to worry about cutting too close. I keep thinning it out a little more because one, to me, it dries very quickly, and two, this very fine texture on the leg is a right pain. Just to get the paint to flow into it properly. Looks like that's the last detail I've got to get around. Is there anything you're interested in particular? Some models that are good for starting out are like tanks, because you get the right one, and generally it's just one color. Like if you go with a Sherman or like a 70s Leopard, or even some Japanese tanks from the 70s as well, they're generally one color, and you can save a little bit on that by getting the other bottles of like a metallic color for the tools, a wood color for the handles on the tools, and just some basic supplies. Don't worry about weathering. Don't worry about fading or anything major like that. That will come in time. Just worry about assembly and basic beginning finishing, right? Just getting used to putting the paint on, getting used to gluing it cleanly, all that kind of stuff. Don't worry a bit about making it look like it does in the magazines from somebody who's been doing it for 20 to 30 years, right? And I mean, hell, the president of the International Plastic Modeler Society is in my model club, and he'd tell you the exact same thing. If you live in the US, Hobby Lobby's models are 40% off, and they've got some Bandai Star Wars stuff. Um, an X-Wing is pretty limited color-wise. So is a Y-Wing. An ATST Walker even more so. And they're snapped together, so you don't have to worry too much about glue. If you just want to get your hands dirty at least with the base assembly and learning all that. I don't know what your experience is going in, so trying to be as generic and general as possible. But for my next figure after this and Ripley, because Ripley's on hold, while I was at work the other day, somebody got up on the shelf and knocked her torso over, which shattered her head. Fortunately, nowhere in the face, but on the hair. So I've got it put back together, but I'm just putting it aside for now because I really just don't want to deal with it again. So after I get that blended, I'll be able to finish her. But I could either do this, and then if I want to do another figure, the options are Colonial Marine from Aliens, to kind of go with Ripley, or Sniper Wolf from the 1998 Metal Gear Solid. Not the YouTube influencer who got busted, but the actual Sniper Wolf. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with having a little fun with it. Granted, there's probably some Warhammer purist out there tearing his hair out reading that, but that's their problem. There you go. If you've got one to paint, then just save the money on the model and just paint what you got. I know there's Hello Kitty Space Marine chapters out there. And then there's the Angry Marines. And then you've also got the Saxophone Marines. You look hard enough. I bet you could Google that now that you've mentioned it, and it'll suddenly exist. So I bet you could Google snowboarding Space Marine now, and you will get a picture of a Space Marine throwing some kind of stunt on a snowboard. Get these off the face for a minute again. Oh. Mm. Yeah, the thing that I've got to kind of play around with on this figure is the guy who did the file work. There's even like a texture to the skin, almost like pores and stuff like that. So That's going to be fun to work with when I go to paint it. It's really apparent on her legs. Oh, yep. There you go. You can use that with the channel points once you've earned enough. I am probably one of the largest Alien fans you'll ever meet. I've got a full-size facehugger hanging out up there somewhere. Got a pulse rifle in my storage upstairs. Hell, I got one of the coffee mugs from the Nostromo sitting right over there. Got the deaf drinky bird around here somewhere too. Brett's hat. If I could get the right shirt, shoes, and pants, I could do a Brett cosplay. Put it that way. I'd need that weird Hawaiian shirt that he had. That's the real trick of what makes Alien and Aliens work. Is you kind of look at it now and go, oh, that's so old fashioned. But at the same time, given the environment they're working in, the technology makes perfect sense. Like if you go to an industrial site now, like go to the most high tech oil rig in the world, right? I'm talking the offshore oil rig here. They will probably have more equipment like what you saw in Alien and Aliens than what you would see in something like Prometheus or Covenant, because it's just harder to break it, and it works when you need it to. And I know back then they were just trying to make stuff look like it could work with what they had on hand, without probably fully realizing that it would still kind of stay that way because the necessity outweighs the beauty of it, you know? Kind of like with fighter cockpits, even cars. Some car companies are going back to more analog style displays because they've realized that people kind of need dials like that in order to be able to drive properly and see things at a glance. Pilots, they realize that with, because you're when you're operating a piece of equipment like a jet or a car long enough, you become accustomed to seeing your needles where they need to be at a glance. Whereas on a digital display, you don't have that tactile analog response. So they're really starting to go back to that more and more. And I can tell you that's one thing I hate about my more modern car is that goddamn display in the middle of the console. One, the screen's gone out, so it's another failure point. But the screen's gone out in such a way that it's just gone blank. So it's just a bright white screen in the middle of the car, even at night. And there's no way to turn the screen off. All right, have a good night. And you're more than welcome to lurk here whenever I'm on. Lately, it hasn't been too often. Trying to change that as much as I can. But have a good night. Sleep well. And hopefully everything's still nice and quiet tomorrow. Those are popping out just right, I think. And again, these will be further accentuated by different washes and things like that. We're really just picking out the initial details. Still don't know what to do about her fingers. Given the wear they'd be exposed to, I'm probably gonna go metal with them instead of carbon fiber like the rest of her. I really wish YouTube wasn't so strict with background music on streams, because my randomizer's been picking some good music today, for the most part. We probably got another 8 to 10 minutes before I've got to go and get ready for my club meeting. But it's been a good stream. A lot of progress. No major catastrophes. Debating if I should put some kind of OSL effect for the laser right here. I don't know. Yeah, let me just throw some steel on her fingers. That way I'll have a base color down that we can go and mess with. Throw some gunmetals on, stuff like that. It just begins to put my eyes in the right direction. And for those watching on YouTube, if you've made it this far, even if you're watching the archived, the VOD, thank you for watching. Hope that you would like to subscribe. And hope to see you soon on my next live stream. We're going to be ending this one here shortly. So I need to have dinner. Even if it's just hot dogs and baked beans, it's still dinner. Lately, I haven't been very hungry either. He's not fancy hungry. I guess with everything else going on, I'm just not too concerned about gourmet eating. Let's see, trigger guard. We might bring some coppers and brass into play here too. Especially on the arm, hands, and the leg. I want to try one thing before we fully wrap up here. I want to get the green wash from Vallejo out, and I want to run it over this leg piece. See what it does. So here's the black one. That'll be good for the weapons. Here's the green one. Actually, I might take the Discovery to the model meeting tonight. You can kind of see it behind my head right there. I never took it because I built it when I was on my hiatus. Ooh, yes, this will work out nicely, I think. So I never took it to the meetings to show. Because that's not the Mobius kit. That is the Stargazer Models version. Made well before the Mobius kit existed. Yeah, with that texture on there, I like what that's doing. It's popping quite nicely. Without being overpowering. Yep. What I'm doing is I'm just applying some of the wash into the sculpted wrinkles as well. Try and accentuate them. Because we'll be dry brushing back over, but this might just put enough of a shadow in there that it'll do what I expect it to do. We'll find out later tonight. Sorry if I'm getting quiet. Just really enjoying this build right now. And if you are new on either YouTube or Twitch, please say hi. Just like to know who's watching, where you're from, what you like to do. We are link friendly, so if you want to show off what you're doing, drop a link. Instagram, stuff like that. Just don't be that guy that makes it so we're not link friendly anymore. The club meet starts at 6-ish, so I want to be out of the house a little early. Yeah, 1/3 scale figures are definitely a bit more challenging because they are large enough to create their own natural highlight and shadows. So I'm trying my best to find a balance between emphasizing them and letting them be normal, you know? I mean, what's the worst that can happen? I gotta repaint it? Ooh. But I think we will let this all dry for a while. Get those out of my head. So yeah, we've been up for 2.5 hours. Not terrible. Um, I'd like to go longer, but I've got other responsibilities. So we're gonna go for now. Thank you all again for stopping by and watching and hanging out. Thank you for the follow from our new followers. And hope you all have a good night. And I will probably see you later tonight. Because I want to do at least an hour and a half test to see what the YouTube response is like after 9 o'clock. So we'll see how it goes then, and I'll see you all.